I don't know what you're doing. Don't know what you're doing.
What's going on, everyone? This is the Aggie Gameday Extra Podcast. I'm senior Texas A&M sports writer Travis Brown, alongside Maxwell Smart Crawford. That's a really old reference. It's before my time and before your time.
It's before your time. Man, we were talking about how you're just kind of an old guy.
Yeah,
I'm kind of an old guy.
All these references, which Erin's talking about stuff that I don't really get either, but I'm closer.
Okay, I just needed to counterbalance her Camp Rock with
Camp
something
Rock
that was in my parents' time.
Well,
I don't know why.
Camp Rock
in
and
your
High School
parents' time.
Musical, it's fine that you don't know what that is, but you should know hi, I'm Paul.
Yeah.
You should know that.
You should know that. You should know that as well from the Nickelodeon days.
But I probably stopped watching Nickelodeon in 1998.
This would have been on in that time frame.
That is not when I stopped watching Nickelodeon.
Okay.
Well, now I watch Nickelodeon all the time
That's
because of
fair.
Paw Patrol.
That's fair.
That's a little different, though.
I wasn't born in 1998.
Listen.
Yep.
You know,
Millennium, baby.
yeah, that just makes me sad and
It's okay.
old.
Hey, you got to live in the 90s. That was a great
That's-
time.
That's a good.
It was a great time to be alive for most,
Well,
for most people.
You
for
know what
us
else was
anyway.
a good time? What else was a good time? Eye Patch Rev this weekend.
Yes, Eye Patch Rev.
Eye Patch Rev
Was
this weekend.
Just a beaut.
Adorable.
It was probably the loudest crowd pop I've heard in Kyle Field in a long time.
It was a big one, and I admittedly, I was not quite to our seats yet. We were in the stadium. We were walking to our seats. I hadn't eaten all day, so I had to get a hot dog. Was that pretty good, Erin? Hot dog. Hot dog, yeah.
That's not, no.
One and two was
No, we're
very
not
different.
doing that.
Hot
No.
dog, yeah. Get you a hot dog.
No.
Anyway.
It's more like, I'm going to go get a hot dog.
Okay, yeah, so there's more. Anyway, I'm sorry. But I heard the crowd pop from the concourse, and I heard the drum cadence still, and Power hadn't played yet, and so I knew, I was like, okay, well, they had to have just shown Reveille, because they usually do around that time, and I was sitting there thinking, I wonder if they brought out the eye patch, and sure enough, they sure did, and she is just adorable.
And they did it right because they had it on for the run out. And I had my little camera up in the press box zoomed in to try to get a shot because I saw it, but I couldn't get it on the picture from the Jumbotron. And they took it off after the run out. If I'm a dog, I don't want to wear an eye patch the whole game.
I get it. There is so much about this past Saturday night that you could talk about from aura alone. Because between 12-man
The vibes were high.
Between 12-man P and knowing when to show Rev and knowing when to show that kid who is twirling his shirt around later in the game and just finding the right times to insert the right things. DJ Mike is a part of that experience as well. Obviously the LED lights, they have figured out how to make Kyle Field not only, intimidating and all that and whatever, but entertaining.
This was your first LED experience, live.
It was
LED
cool.
experience.
It was cool.
Okay.
I that's not particularly what makes me go to games. But if that keeps people in their seats and interested the whole game, then I'm 100% for it. I thought it was really, really cool. And everybody around us must have liked it because everybody was recording it on their phone.
It was
a spectacle.
It was a really good environment on Saturday night. And I think, at least for me, where I've seen a lot of SEC games and there's nothing quite like a game at Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's something that I will always say.
We should time to see how long it takes in the podcast for,
for
the Alabama reference to come
hang
in.
On,
there's
hang
a
on.
punchline here.
I was about to say something positive towards A&M. Thank you. I just have to reference Alabama because Roll Tide. But when I was out there for the fourth quarter, I got chills kind of just looking around. I got this one crowd shot of just going around Kyle Field, and it was a different type of energy. It was a different type of feel, and it was cool to be there on the sidelines for that.
To counterbalance your Bryant-Denny thing, a lot of people talk about Jordan Hare as being one of those one of those magical moments on the plains and stuff like that, and how there's nothing like the plains at night. So everybody's got their own experience. And I mean, when you and Tyler were there for Sandstorm in the fourth quarter against South Carolina last year,
It's pretty good.
you know, like these experiences are insane. And in fact, I saw a tweet today, somebody saying like, if your reason for Auburn having a chance against Georgia this weekend is because Auburn at night is spooky, then you're stupid. I would counter that and say, no, you're stupid for underestimating the value of an SEC night game and what advantage that brings to a home team.
I will say, though, not even just an SEC night game. This is one tip that I'll give, tipping my hat towards Auburn, is spooky things happen in Jordan Hare.
Yeah.
It's spooky things happen.
A&M fans
They do.
absolutely agree with that.
A&M's been a victim of it several different times on the plains, starting with that Gus Magic season in 2013 and so on and so forth.
Just don't wear long sleeves as a receiver in Jordan Hare.
Right, do not,
That's
you
when the
are
real
out of there, pal.
Spooky things happen.
Yeah, I will say I hope that we can carry on the good vibes, because there's something about the blackout element to it too, because of the carryover from just how dominant of a performance, especially in the second half against LSU. You know, there's a little bit of mirroring what we saw this past weekend. I don't have any huge worry about it, but I do wonder, are the vibes going to be that high from the start against Florida on just kind of a more normal Saturday night? But I think they're going to be just as good, because this is also going to very likely, or in fact, not very likely, certainly this is going to be our last home night game, correct?
Potentially. Let's get into before we get into that, let's get into a few of the headlines
Max
here.
Max is getting a
Max
little bit ahead.
loves to jump. Go ahead and get to the matchup.
You know.
Some of those headlines so far. Aggie football enters the top 10 for the first time since 2021.
Top five.
Top five. Sorry, top five for the first time since 2021. You look at the landscape around A&M, the teams that are ahead of them. I think this is absolutely where A&M deserves to be, because if they can eliminate, we've talked about it ad nauseum for the last 2 weeks, if they can eliminate penalties, they're a very, very balanced team.
Yeah. We're stopping on that bullet point. I thought you wanted to go.
Well, everybody, thanks for listening to the Aggie Gameday Extra Podcast.
I thought you wanted to go through all the bullet points.
No. We're stopping.
I didn't know you wanted me to talk again. I thought you wanted me to shut
always
up
want
for
you
a
to
little
talk,
bit.
Max.
Yeah, right. That is not true. Nobody has ever said that to
No,
me.
but
and meant it.
Top 5 ranking, I think, is exactly good for this A&M team so far.
Yeah, this is a situation where, I mean, if you look back at 2021 when we were in the top 5, the reason we were in the top 5 was because we ain't played nobody yet, right? Including a daunting Appalachian State team that held the ball for 55 minutes of game time. So obviously we can look back to 2021 and say, okay, well, it is very likely that this team is more of a top 5 team than that team was, right? And so this is a trend with the Elko era. We're looking at these trends that we are busting, and some of the things that we're getting back to since 2016 and since 2021. And then you add the context to it, and it's like, oh, but remember how that ended up? Remember what happened in 2021? Oh, remember what happened in 2016 when we started undefeated, and then this, and then that, and then this. So that's the only thing holding me back. It's like something I'm tethered to from my belt that is not just making me drink all of the Kool-Aid, is because all of these little milestones that we're hitting, it's like the first time since this time. And it's like, okay, but do you know how that season turned out for us? But it's still nice that we are seeing those milestones, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously it's great. The strength of record is good. The strength of schedule is obviously still very good. There's clearly talent. It is kind of us that we can beat right now. That's the problem, is we need to figure out how to not beat ourselves.
Max, as the resident fan of the podcast, when we talk about that 2016 team, they started 6-0. A&M's at 5-0 right now. Do things start getting a little nervous when you start hitting that? Like, do you feel like it? At what point do things start getting really, really nervous? Is it that you want to tie it, that you want to break that record, that you're moving past it? Has it already kind of gotten a little jittery?
Yeah, I would tell you I'm already a little jittery, especially with what Florida did to Texas last week, which I don't know if Florida can sustain that type of a success, especially on offense from week to week. I'll talk more about this a little bit later on, but I still like our odds in this game. But yes, that's that thing in the back of your head of like, oh, this is the perfect time for us to just fall flat on our face, right? But I still think that our schedule is set up in such a way that not only are our teams not going to be, the players and the coaches not going to be caught by surprise in any of these games, but things are starting to fall into place that I feel like kind of normally wouldn't in an Aggie season that is keeping the nerves at bay for now. But to kind of answer your question, assuming we win this game, which is, no crazy assumption by any stretch, but it is just that, an assumption, and assuming we go and we beat Arkansas, from there, we have 2 away games after that. I think there's a bye week in between. If assuming we get to that 7-0 mark and we at least get one of those wins against Missouri and LSU, I will really, really start to believe. So to me, and that's gonna pump up the nerves, right? And so you get to a point where you're undefeated and you're like, well, I can't lose this next game. And Erin, you probably know a lot about this as an Alabama fan. It's like it's relief that you won and not joy that you won.
Yeah.
Because losing is the worst thing ever and winning is what you're supposed to do. And so it's okay. And so I think there is a little element to that already. But yeah, if we win this game and then we get past Arkansas, which it wants nothing more than to beat us, but thank goodness it's a 2:30 kick. Again, I'm telling you, SEC Saturday nights, you never know. If we take at least one of Missouri and LSU, I'm going to feel really, really good about postseason, and I'm probably going to feel pretty good about going to Atlanta too.
I think there's a better chance at Missouri being the win between Missouri and LSU as of right now with the remainder of A&M's schedule. I think the only loss that I can realistically see so far is either Missouri or LSU, but if I had to pick between the two of them, it's definitely LSU.
And I feel like we were kind of at this point last year too. See, that's the thing. The only huge difference, at least as far as looking at the box score, between right now and about this time last year is A&M's 5-0, and A&M was about 5-1 at this point last year. And in conference, we were undefeated, and things like that. And we hadn't hit that big road trip yet. And then things kind of came crashing down against South Carolina. So that's what we need to not happen. That's why we can't lose both Missouri and LSU. You've got to win at least one of those games. You lose both, or if you win both, perfect. That's awesome. But you got to take care of business on the SEC road trips. So then you can look and say, okay, well, South Carolina, we've been perfect at home. There's no reason to expect us not to be, even though, you've got sellers and stuff like that. But yeah, it sets up very, very nicely, assuming we can get by that road trip.
Let's look at the next 2 real quick. And Erin, I'm going to go to you on this one first because you were over at the game down on the sidelines. Next 2 bullet points kind of tie together. Damian Sanford, linebacker, Ruben Owens, running back. Both guys who entered the season could have been starters at a lot of places, but they were behind more veteran guys. Those guys get a little dinged up, and they're able to make the most of the opportunity. Damian Sanford's probably been, you could put it between him and Tory York, some of the best defensive players that A&M has had out there. And then Ruben Owens goes and has a career rushing yards game. What have you seen from these 2 guys? And then we talk, the reason why Ruben Owens is out there is Le'Veon Moss is kind of coming in and out with some of these kind of stomach-related issues that Mike Elko talked about. But these 2 guys seem to be, at least the last couple of games, some of the biggest catalysts of what's going on out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think Tory York obviously has been a stable front for A&M's defense over the past couple of games, but Damian Sanford last game really just came out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, but he had an incredible lights-out game, which, fun fact, all of the defensive players that I have chosen for Aggie Game Day on Saturday, that day, the defensive player I chose has had a standout game. And I'm on par with this so far.
Who are you going to pick this weekend?
Who did we decide for this week?
I need a Des Ricks or a Will Lee, I think.
Do we talk about a defensive player?
I think maybe. You know what? I don't remember.
Okay,
I have it written down somewhere, but
think about it.
Just if you're watching on Saturday, I'm just saying, be on the lookout for what I say the defensive player is, because I've been accurate so far. But Damian Sanford, obviously had lights out game. And I think it's cool to see this next man up mentality on A&M's defense. I think you're seeing it over and over and over again each week for this D-line, which is obviously a really positive thing that you want to see from a defensive line. And then Ruben Owens kind of snuck up on me almost, I feel like, because the past couple games when he's gotten in, he's played really well. And Travis, you had mentioned the stat where it was, what was it, on 47 attempts, he had 35 carries or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So what you said it best, where if he's on the field, he's getting the ball.
Yeah.
And so obviously having a Mr. Dependable like that as your running back when you're getting into more of these SEC contests where you're having really, really strong defensive fronts to go up against. I think having a guy that can still break through and make a run and do a 30-yard run is obviously going to be positive for this offense. But I didn't realize, I guess, how well Ruben Owens was playing in the game as I was shooting it until afterwards when I had the stat sheet sitting in front of me and I'm like, wow, okay. And then I go back and I watch the film that I have from the game and, well, ironically, I said it to you afterwards, Le'Veon and Ruben made my life so much easier in spotting them because Le'Veon had this lavender purple shoes and gloves on, and then Ruben Owens had this neon green, so it was just super easy to find them. But it was, I mean, clip after clip after clip, you were just seeing Ruben Owens break through and make a rush, and I think it was just a really positive outlook for A&M's run offense, which I know a lot of people were questioning the first couple games of the season.
He has an affinity for like kind of sneaky chunk plays. Like all of a sudden it's a 25-yard gain. And I think it's like his speed almost looks effortless. And I think we have a couple other players on the team like that. This is totally different, but like Achane was that kind of runner, like looked like he was jogging, but was running twice as fast as everybody else. But yeah, when Ruben gets the ball, you can almost expect a chunk play out of him. And what I expect now with a really good defense coming in for Florida is they're maybe going to start to key in on that. And if I'm Colin Klein, I'm thinking, okay, this is our perfect chance for some misdirection with some sort of maybe wheel route out to Owens, have a lot of people keying on him, and then Terry Bussey's open on the other side of the field or something like that, or having Ruben Owens in the backfield and maybe somebody lined up at H-back or fullback and you hand the ball off to Burkitcher again. Like him doing well and him, when he's on the field, being likely to get the ball, I think is going to do great things because either he's going to get the ball and he's going to do great, or there's going to be a misdirection play where everybody's keying on him and somebody else gets the ball. That's what we were missing last year that is so exciting this year.
Yeah, I think when you look at the running back group, we talked about this a little in our post-game recap, is the fact that when you talk about depth can be two things. It can be potential or it can be actually proven. And I think A&M is starting to actually prove at the running back positions that they have that depth. There's a lot of bodies in there and guys that had experience, but is it guys that can win them ball games? And Ruben Owens proved that. Le'Veon Moss has proven that he's a guy that can win A&M ball games.
And who's the other guy we haven't even really talked about? Jamari Amaro.
Yeah, I mean, and he's had some limited, and this is all even saying that Amari Daniels, who was kind of the feature back last year when Le'Veon Moss went down last year, hasn't really even gotten that many carries this year. And then E.J. Smith is, got some stuff early, but not necessarily now. I mean, it is a truly deep running back room. Let's buzz through these last two real quick. A&M soccer, they need an RPI boost. They're at number 62 right now. They only really have two other games on their schedule that are at a higher RPI. They need to start winning some games if they want their postseason lives to postseason chances to continue, and they need to get above 500 to be able to make that postseason run. So they're in a little bit of a tough spot as the season is starting to kind of wind to a close. And then tonight, we're recording this on Wednesday. Tonight, number 9 A&M volleyball faces number 3 Kentucky in a big matchup there. That's a team kind of on the opposite side of things, saying they're already starting to kind of look at seeding in what will be the first year of the SEC volleyball tournament in a really long time, and then going to the NCAA tournament.
First ever top 10 volleyball matchup to be played in Reed Arena tonight.
Oh, wow. Correct, yes.
Okay. Well, and you know, Elko, I loved how he started his Monday presser and media availability by talking about that. This is an opportunity for the quote-unquote 12th man to prove that they care about stuff beyond football. This is a golden opportunity to see, obviously, a really good volleyball team. Coach Morrison is, I would argue, one of the best coaches on campus with one of the most talented teams on campus. I really, really hope people get out and support them. I would love to. Got kids and a job, but I really, really hope people get out to Reed and that we can make that environment, because we've seen what volleyball environments can look like and how cool that can be. And I would love for us to be able to do that here.
And this is one of those instances too. Either way, A&M has put themselves in a good enough position that win or loss, if they hang close in this one, it should be a little bit of a continued RPI boost, and should put them in a good position moving forward.
Excellent.
Over 40 years ago, my parents started C&J Barbecue, and today we continue to honor Dad's legacy with the best barbecue in the Brazos Valley. With locations on Harvey Road, Southwest Parkway, and our newest location on William Joe Bryan, we carry on our family tradition of serving up award-winning barbecue, sides, and desserts. We also offer delivery, catering, as well as custom menus and private chef services. Come visit us today for some of the best barbecue around. C&J Barbecue. The C is for Chip, the J is for Joe, and the barbecue is for you.
So let's go ahead and get to what Max was trying to rush ahead and get
Sorry.
to along. No, I'm just kidding. A long time ago. That is the matchup. It is Texas A&M, number 5 Texas A&M against Florida, Saturday, 6 p.m. Kyle Field. That game is on ESPN. It should be maybe one of the best defenses that A&M has faced so far this season. Florida, while they've had their ups and downs, it necessarily hasn't been that up and down on defense. No. It's really been the offense that has kind of had a little bit more of the up and downs per se. Max, what are you thinking about this matchup so far?
This is another one that honestly I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But I think what we are going to see, and maybe this is just the BAS being overridden in me, I think you're going to see yet another way that A&M finds to win. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's a combination of the things that we've been able to do, the pass game, the run game. Maybe it's creating turnovers. Maybe it's getting Lagway in frustrating positions if we can stop the run, and creating turnovers and causing havoc plays, which I have something about that here in just a little bit. But my general feel for it is kind of like last week, where all of a sudden I'm just really glad that it's a home night game, because I have said all season long and even before that, this is not a season where we can afford to lose any game at home. And I give us the edge here for a couple of different reasons. But the biggest reason I do, despite their performance last week, which was at home, Napier's Florida squads have won 3 true road games since he has been the head coach there. One of them was against us in 2022 when Anthony Richardson ran all over us in the infamous flu game where we had over 30 players out. One of them was against a 4-8 Mississippi State team, and another one was against a 5-7 Florida State team. Now, that doesn't automatically give them an L, but to me, it would be pretty crazy and job-keeping material if Napier was able to upset Texas, regardless of how Texas actually ends up looking at the end of the year. It's still a big upset. And then back-to-back go to Kyle Field in a night game and beat A&M. I just don't really see that happening. I think Lagway's probably going to have a good game. There's the whole homecoming aspect and things like that, and he's going to want to play well, and he probably will. But I give us the edge. Maybe it's just because of home field advantage and Kyle Field at night, but I think this is going to be a sweated-out game. I don't think this is going to be like Mississippi State where we kind of smothered them, and it was close for a while, and then we just kind of overpowered them. I'm hoping that it's not like Auburn in that we could have put them away, but penalties and stuff. I think this is going to be we have to take our punches, but punch a little harder. Because Florida's a very talented team. That was one of the things Elko said at the very beginning of his pressers. he said anyway. I don't know that I fully agree, but he said this is far and away the most talented team we will have played so far this year. So it's another good test.
Erin, what stands out to you?
I don't think that Florida is the most talented team that A&M has gone up against this season. I think they're a good team. Max, honestly, I think you're selling A&M a little bit short.
Okay.
I think.
Whoa.
Whoa. No, that's fine.
Hold on. This might be
love
a
to hear
first
that.
in the Aggie Gameday Extra Podcast.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I think that Florida, obviously they have the defense that they do, and that is something that A&M has not seen yet. So I do agree that it is the strongest defensive front that they have gone up against this season. But I really don't think that the offense is going to be hard to stop, just as long as you put the Dallas Wilson, the wide receiver, as long as you put him in his place. I don't think they're going to have a problem ruffling DJ Lagway's feathers or anything along the lines of that, especially with the way this defense has been playing. I don't think it's going to be hard to stop Florida from putting points on the board.
It to me, considering how their season has gone so far, I mean, clearly you have a team that hasn't given up on Napier, right? But to me, it is hard to see them sustaining that type of success back to back when they have not done that yet this year. And I don't see them doing that on the road at night. I don't see them putting up as much points because Texas, at least we think, has a good defense. Everything is questioned after their performance last week, but clearly their offensive line has problems, and our offensive line has been rated the highest by several different little ratings groups, like in the nation. And so, taking care of Marcel, allowing him to do what he does best, it will be a very crucial thing. But yeah, I'm almost, and maybe. Even as I say this doesn't really make sense. I'm almost a little bit more nervous about what we're going to do on defense and stopping the run and just making sure that they're not able to distribute to the talent out there.
Well, yeah, so Florida, it's an interesting matchup. It's a little bit different than a lot of what they faced so far this season. The rushing offense hasn't necessarily been great. They're 13th in the SEC in rushing yards per game with 130 yards. The passing game, especially now that they've kind of had this emergence of Dallas Wilson last week against Texas, the true freshman there. That was what really kind of opened up and was the difference maker in that game. Offensively for the Aggies, this actually could be another one of those games where the wide receivers are able to carry the team. Florida's rushing defense has actually kind of been the hallmark of everything so far, them being able to stop down the run. It's, let's see, rushing defense. They're 26th in the country, 99 yards per game.
Yeah.
This could definitely be one of those games that A&M uses the bubble screens, the quick routes as kind of a substitute for the run game to help open stuff up on the perimeter, because the interior of Florida's defense has been so good. I kind of see it that way, that this might be a little bit more of one of those games like UTSA, like at times against Notre Dame, where they depended on their wide receivers to go out and win the game for them. Defensively, Florida's the worst in the conference in tackles for loss allowed. So getting in behind the line of scrimmage has been exactly what A&M has been good at the most this season, whether it's sacks, whether it's tackles for loss. And that's how you get teams behind the chains, force them into long passing situations. And DJ Lagway, while he's been good at times, turning the ball over when you're in deeper passing situations hasn't necessarily been his forte so far this year. So, I could see an aggressive defensive attack from A&M this week.
I think you have to. I mean, because you've seen what can happen when he is forced to make decisions, especially if you get them in a lot of passing situations. I mean, he threw 5 interceptions against LSU. I don't think he's going to throw 5 picks against us, but I do think that getting 1 or 2 from him and playing turnover-free football on the other side, I think is the key to victory for us, is just being positive in the turnover battle. To expand off of what you said, and I'm reading this off of a text from my buddy Parker. It's called havoc rate. And so you're talking about tackles for loss, and you add in sacks, which is obviously a tackle for loss, forced fumbles, pass breakups, or interceptions, and you put all that together and you get havoc rates. Florida is 56th in havoc rates and 124th in the country in havoc allowed. So like you said, getting behind in the downs, changing up possessions and things like that is huge to why they have been so unsuccessful. And it's a big reason why A&M has been successful too. We haven't created a ton of turnovers, although we did a pretty good job of that in the second half against Mississippi State. But I think that's exactly the formula, is you get Lagway uncomfortable. And I think you first start to do that by trying to stop the run. So it's kind of a three-pronged attack. Yeah, you've got to worry about Wilson and the talent at wideout, but you got to stop the run first to get to the point to where Lagway has to throw, right? You don't want to get him in a second and short where he can play action pass and dump it down the field, because he's capable of doing that. So I think a quick start is very necessary here. From a philosophical standpoint, what is so refreshing, though, is a lot of times, in so many games last year, I say, well, which A&M is going to show up? 2020. You were talking about 2021 earlier. Which A&M team are we going to see out there? But this time, I'm wondering what Florida team is going to show up.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the USF Florida? Or is it going to be the Texas Florida? Or is it going to be the Miami Florida, which like for a lot of the game was in it? But the cool thing is that I know a variety of different A&Ms can show up and still win the football game.
And you want to look at Florida's performance against Texas in a different way. It was kind of like A&M's performance against LSU last year. This is Dallas Wilson's really first game played this year. It was against Texas, and it's hard to necessarily game plan for that kind of performance out of a true freshman. When you had Marcel Reed came in that LSU game, and LSU admitted even at SEC Media Days that they didn't really prepare for Marcel Reed and what his legs would provide in that game, and he just kept being able to pull the read option and run and pull the read option and run. Dallas Wilson did that. A&M at least has some tape on Dallas Wilson and his connection with DJ Lagway this week, that they can be a little bit more prepared for what's going to happen in that game. Erin, what this game is one for me that I'm a little bit more. It kind of feels like the Notre Dame game, but in a different way. But I'm a little uncertain. This could go several different ways. Do you have a feel if this one? Do you think it's going to be closer? What's kind of your feeling on how this one's going to play out?
Honestly, I think the closest game this season that I have the feeling, because I know what feeling you're talking about, I don't know if I have a name for it, but honestly, when A&M was going into the Auburn game, this is a similar feeling that I had, because Auburn was kind of hyped up as this insane offense and blah, blah, blah this, blah, blah, blah that. But we really didn't know going into that game who was going to be the team that came out on top. And obviously it was A&M, and it could have been, watching the game actually unfold, it could have been A&M by a lot more, again, barring the penalties. But headed into this game against Florida, kind of to what Max says, which, by the way, Max, you stole that line directly from Daryl Dickey, because I used it in the shows yesterday.
Which line was it?
Which Florida team is going to show up? We don't know.
Oh, did he really say that?
Yeah, he did. And you watched it, and it was right after that I was at the desk, and you had said on air, you were like, it's really cool that we get Daryl Dickey for this stuff. I'm like, it is really cool that we get Daryl Dickey for this stuff, but you stole that line from him.
I sure did. Well, that's probably why I thought of it then.
Anyway, no, but not to call you out there, sorry.
It's okay. I'm a forgetful guy.
But I do think it is going to be a matter of, I will agree with you and Daryl Dickey, it will be a matter of which Florida team shows up on Saturday. Because the thing is, what I go back and forth at, was this Texas game last weekend a fluke?
And I don't think we're going to know for a while. Right?
I don't think we'll know for a while either, because my thing is with that is, obviously Dallas Wilson had an incredible game, and there's no taking that away from him. And Texas so far this season has had a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. However, I still think when you look at the depth of Texas, I think Texas was still the far superior team out of the two of them. Again, taking out what they've done so far this season, because Texas is not good. Yeah. But still, I don't know if this Gators win over Texas was a fluke or not. And I don't know if that's something that we'll see on Saturday. Like you said, Max, I don't know if that's something that we'll see for a long time. So I really don't know. Like, I don't have a score prediction for A&M Florida. I have no idea what it's going to be. This game is an enigma in my mind.
I don't know that I really do either. I think there's just so much that, like, we just have to kind of see the game played. I think there's a lot to be said about Texas still being able to score 21 points despite how much duress Arch Manning was under, which, by the way, so much has been made, and a lot of it was because of a New York Times, which I guess owns the Athletic.
It's the Athletic, yeah.
That piece that came out, the tweet that was like, is he the first college football flop? Which makes it very clear that the editor or the social person who posted that has never watched college football ever in their lives.
So I read the article, and I don't know if we want to get into
that's fine. Right. My whole point is the article itself. And this is a problem that happens sometimes, and it even happens. It's happened before here, where the meat of the article says nothing about what the headline or what the social post trying to get you to read the article says.
And we'll dive into that just for a second, because, and I'll defend the article. The article, the reason why it's the first flop is because this is the first player that the university had to gather that much money and put that much forethought. University, as in the athletic department and the football program. When you talk about the NIL landscape, when you talk about the revenue sharing landscape, when you talk about college football players basically being professional athletes, that you have to they've gone all in monetarily on the Arch Manning experiment. It's not like they can just say, this isn't working out, we're going to go to the backup, because there's so much investment put into this one player. And you don't want to say, okay, well, this isn't working, let's go to the backup. And then he transfers out, and all of this money is just gone and wasted. So it's more talking about the investment of the athletic department in the football program than necessarily, I mean, it's all tied in, but then necessarily just Arch's talent per se.
Preach.
Okay. And that's perfectly fine. And I am sure the article is well written. I have utmost respect for most of the writers at The Athletic and things like that. All I'm trying to say, and again, we are in the business, especially as something that we provide for free to people. We make money off of ad dollars. We make money off of clicks. Yeah, we're trying to get you to click on the article. That's a little too nuanced for me. And it was a little too attacking the guy who is a multi-millionaire. He can take care of himself and all that. But to me, it was just a little much. And for it to come out and say, is this college football's first flop? There's not enough there to explain to me what you just said. In which case you could say, well, did you read the article? Well, no, because I don't have an athletic subscription. So like that's where you run into the problem there, is that so many people are going to see that, try to click on it and read it, and then it's going to say, hey, here's a $3 offer. You can have this for 2 months for just $3. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to read that. So you go back to the tweet, and then you just get angry, right? It's so, like, that's a little different than if we put out a kind of a clickbaity, if you want to call it, thing, where you can actually read the whole daggum thing. Like, if Travis L. Brown said that, he'd probably still get the ridicule, but at least people could read the article, and Travis could say, well, did you read the article? So that's where I have a problem.
Okay.
It's almost like they're gatekeeping this information from me and asking me a question that is loaded to where I'm going to go, well, no, I've followed college football my whole life. Of course not. So do you know what I mean? That's the problem that I had with it, and that's why I felt compelled to even reply to it and be like, why am I sticking up for a Texas Longhorn athlete?
So duly noted, if I ever want to piss off Max, I just clickbait him.
No,
he's really not going to like it.
So much of this business that we are in as broadcasters is trying to get people to click on our articles, to stay a little bit longer in a newscast, to watch this and to watch that. That's the biggest reason that we put this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and on our website. We try to put it on YouTube. Like, I fully understand that. But the biggest difference is it's free. And it's always going to be free, hopefully. But again, that subscriber thing, if you're putting that out there, that doesn't jive well for me.
Would you prefer it if the headline or the clickbait, whatever it was, had said, is this college football's biggest financial flop?
Maybe. I think even a couple more words would have been good there. Or first flop in the NIL era.
That's too long.
You have 280 characters. I don't think it's that long. That was the only problem I had with it, is just like, come on, man. But that we went on a ramble there, and we got Florida to play this week. So
and A&M is going into this Florida game having stopped teams on third down.
Yeah.
They've only allowed one in 23 attempts.
That's absolutely insane, and I would love for that to continue. I just don't. But then you look at beyond this past game against Texas, Florida's shown to have that kind of offense to where they could struggle like that. And so that's why I kind of keep going back to, like, I just don't see them having that sort of sustained success in back-to-back games. But they do have a lot of talent. I don't know how well they're going to be able to utilize that after coming off a win like they just did. So I think there is a chance that on third down on defense we continue to be that good. It's about our team keeping that chip on their shoulder and not thinking that they're better than what they are, which is a team that has some clear flaws but still finds ways to win and different ways to win each time, it seems like. And if we continue to grow and not read our own headlines and stuff like that, then maybe we put them away pretty quickly in this game. I think Florida's defense is a little too good that's not going to happen, but it is possible that we keep that crazy clip of third down defense. I don't think that's going to happen by the time we get to Arkansas and Missouri, because those are two high-powered offenses, but I think it's possible that we keep at that, what is it, a 5% third down conversion rate over the past two games. It's not going to be like that, but it could be close.
I will say, if you told me that this was going to be the way A&M's third down looked like headed into this season, I probably would have said that you were crazy town. Because
impressive.
It's been insane to watch.
Yeah. But when you look at this, actually could be a game that they continue that going. You mentioned Arkansas and Missouri. Missouri leads the conference in third down conversion offense. Arkansas is up in the top 5 as well. This game, when you talk about that havoc rating, that they said that is those kinds of stats, those kinds of things of havoc allowed, is what gets you behind the chains and makes it 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, and makes it difficult to convert on third down on offense. So this could very well be another one of those games that A&M kind of continues that trend. I agree with you. I don't see that continuing at Arkansas, at Missouri, against those kinds of offenses. That's really going to give them trouble. The more we've talked about this, I feel like this actually is another game that A&M could run away with if they play.
I think it's possible.
If they play their game. Florida's weaknesses play very well into A&M's strengths. A&M just needs to be able to put points up on the board, probably more points than they've have. Well, earlier in the game, it certainly helps. They put up a lot against Mississippi State towards the end of the game, but definitely more than Auburn and the penalties. They just got to continue to chop down on those penalties. That you can have a great complete game, but those keep you behind the chains, keep you from being able to.
Yeah, I think even if it's like 7 penalties instead of 10, right? Like if there is some sort of, I think, I don't want to say especially on defense, because it's obviously very important on offense too in terms of scoring points, but we don't want to get a roughing the passer on 3rd and 15, right? Like if we get them all the way to 3rd and 15 and then we have to start the drive over because of a roughing the passer or an errant defensive holding, like that's going to be a problem. And I think with the talent of Lagway in that backfield and, you know, the wideouts and stuff like that, like we don't want to give them any second chances, which could lead to, I think, second chance points with a team like that. You got to have them make mistakes and us not make as many mistakes.
I know you said you don't have a feel for prediction. I'm feeling 34-17 A&M.
I would be so happy with that result.
You think it's going to be closer?
A little bit. I'm kind of, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a lower scoring affair too. I think it's going to be more like a 28-20 type of game. Now, because I always never have enough field goals whenever I start this, because red zone wise, I see a Randy Bond element here. So I'm going to go like a 27. So what, 24, 21, 24, 27.
He's looking into his crystal ball.
I'm going to go like a 27-20 type of game.
27. Okay, so within Within a touchdown.
And
That's
I think-
basically the spread right now.
And I think right now that would include, I think that would include essentially a backdoor cover from a big chunk play given up on offense later in the game. So it's more like a 27-13 or 27-14 game that looks pretty until until they score with like 3 or 4 minutes left, and then it ends up looking a little closer than it actually was.
You want to take a knock at it?
I got nothing. Only Alabama scores touchdowns on Saturdays.
Oh my goodness.
Well, on that
I'm
note,
just kidding.
we're gonna move over here to around the SEC, and so much of the time we are talking about Florida Man over here because Florida Man does a lot of things. We're actually going to talk about Florida Animal this week, and Florida Animal actually has previewed this game really, really well, because if you look over here in, let's see, this is Stuart, Florida. No, we're not going to start in Stuart, Florida. We're going to start in
another part of Florida.
Okaloosa County, Florida.
Okay.
And there was a dog, a hero dog. A dog who its mom, we'll call it dog mom, fell during, an elderly lady fell during a walk, and the husband was worried about the wife not coming back. So he called the police because she hadn't been back in a while, and the police showed up, and they're like, well, okay, when's the last time you seen your wife? And he said, she usually is back from walking the dog a lot sooner. And just then the dog comes running up, barking, and does a lassie and escorts them to the lady, and they were able to, so there's a dog, A&M.
Was
Is there
this dog
a
wearing an eye
picture of
patch?
the dog?
There is not a picture of the dog, unfortunately.
Oh.
But then in Stuart, Florida, an alligator moseyed on up to a bar. And the cops had to get called for the alligator to get removed.
Why?
From apparently he had been overserved.
Ugh.
No. So
He's not hurting nobody.
So if you want to give A&M, like the Reveille the dog thing, this battle is raging out in the news in Florida right now. I mean, the dog seems to be the winner here because the dog was the one who actually saved a lady. The alligator was just trying to get drunk.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
hey, you
have
don't know
respect for the alligator. You don't know. He could have been having a bad day.
Yeah, you don't know that he was trying to get like blackout or anything. Maybe he just wanted
an after work drink.
a Mai Tai.
Well, okay, so from our predictions, the alligator actually probably is gonna be pretty in on the game through most of it until the end, maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Do you guys
So
want to
very
hear
well
a
could be.
fun fact about alligators?
I do want to hear a fun fact about alligators.
So, ironically, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I'm sorry I'm bringing up Alabama again, but this is about the state of Alabama. And so it was from like AL.com, and it was an Instagram post they had, and it was 5 laws in Alabama that you may not know are a thing. And there is a law in Alabama that says legally you cannot tie your pet alligator to a fire hydrant.
Okay. And that's reasonable.
I mean, yeah.
But you would think that law would be in like Florida.
Now, keep that law in the books in the South anywhere.
Are there alligators in Alabama?
I don't think so.
Yes, of course there are. There are in Texas. There are in Louisiana. There are in Alabama, Mississippi.
I don't think so.
Yes.
You don't think
Yes.
she passes.
I've never seen one, and I lived there for 4 years.
Well,
You ain't
there
been
you
to
go.
Mobile?
Do what?
I have
You've been to
not
Mobile? You've been south of I-10? I bet there's gators there.
Maybe.
I bet there's gators there.
Well, there's elephants.
There's
in
gators
our-
There's
everywhere.
elephants, yeah.
There's
now,
gators
so-
everywhere. The UF network. This message brought to you by University of Florida Alumni Association.
Real quick, because we didn't talk about it last. Forecast for this Saturday.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, if you had no problem with this past Saturday, then you're going to love this Saturday. It's nice and crisp to start. So my dudes out there setting up the tailgate really early in the morning. Will you need a jacket? Probably not. You're going to be warm, setting everything up and all that anyway. And once the sun comes up, you'll be good to go. And then by evening time, it might be one of those sneaky games where my people up in the 400 section, there's a little bit of a draft up there. I don't know. You might need an extra sleeve for that. It's not going to be cold, but there might be just enough of a breeze to make it mildly chilly, like way up at the top of the stadium. Most people will not, though. But yeah, weather looks fantastic. It should be another awesome Saturday in Aggie land. I've never had any problems with Florida fans personally, so I'm sure they'll travel and show up, and that blue will make itself known in the stadium. It should be a great Saturday evening. I hope we win.
Forecasting the weather and the opposing fan base.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy does it all.
Let's behave. Let's have fun and behave.
That's all the time we have this week for the Aggie Game Day Extra Podcast. Be sure to see these guys on the 5, 6, and 10 leading up to that game. Check KBTX.com for all of our coverage. We'll be there. We'll have highlights. We'll have everything afterwards and a game recap from me and Erin afterwards. And then be back here next week because we'll be breaking it down just like we always do. So for Max Crawford and Erin Patterson, I'm Travis Brown. This is the Aggie Game Day Extra Podcast. We'll see you next week.